Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we have the coordinator of a new program that the city has for community gardens. My guest is Wendy Iles. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
This is really exciting because a lot of people maybe live somewhere where they don't have the ability to have a garden plot.
That's correct.
You know, digging in the dirt is fun. I love it.
Oh, we have such a good time. We really do.
So tell us about this new community gardens program.
There's two sites available. There's a site at Buckroe, site of the old junior high school, that has 30 plots available, plus 4 handicapped accessible plots. And we've been very fortunate. Eagle Scouts have stepped up and built the ADA accessible beds for us at Phoebus, which is really close to the fire station in downtown Phoebus.
Okay, people know where that is.
Yes, I love that landmark. So there's we have 2 spots in Phoebus next door to each other, but we're on a delay to pull down the building. So we're going to have 12 available, plus the ADA accessible beds
This summer.
Yes.
So
well,
how does
in
this
about
work?
a week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, in just over a week. Just over a week.
Okay. So probably by the time this airs, they'll be open. So if I'm interested in a garden plot, what do I need to do?
Go to hampton.gov. You can either type in community gardens in the search bar, or you can go to Parks and Rec's page, and we have our own little spot there, and fill out the application. It comes straight to me.
And it costs me how much?
$0.
Yay!
Yay!
0 is good.
$0 is very good. It's gotten a lot of people excited, and they're willing to come out. And even some people are splitting their gardening. They're doing a tiny bit at home, and then coming out more to get to know their neighbors and to build a community.
You know, that's a good idea because I have, raised beds at home, and I make a salad garden. That's really
Nice.
all I have room for. You know, 1 zucchini plant, 1 cucumber plant, some lettuce, tomato, basil, stuff like that. But if I had more space, I don't know if I'd be able to keep it up. But so what do you think? You see people doing this to grow their own food?
Yes, I do. I do. These are just over 4 feet wide by 10 foot long, which
That is big. Yeah, mine are like 3 by 3, I think, squares that I have at home. So
it's a lot of
space. You could fit a lot in there.
A typical family will have about a 4 by 8 garden, and that can supply a lot of produce. And if you're smart and you're very conservative in your gardening and you're planting, you can still plant something big and then something that needs shade slightly underneath it, so that you can kind of double duty. I like that. I'm a very conservative gardener.
Well, so if people are new to gardening, like maybe they've lived in an apartment or in a rental house that doesn't really have accommodations for that, and are you also there to help coach them and teach them on how to do it and what to plant?
We are. We've actually already had one educational class with one of the master gardeners, Larry Nisley, who came out and talked for about an hour and a half to a lot of our gardeners to talk about the initial planting, seed starting, and setting themselves up for success in their gardening efforts. I'll be dividing my time between the sites to, as you say, coach and, give them some new ideas, make sure that there's no pest issues, because as a gardener, you always have the opportunity for pest issues.
Yes, pest issues, and other things too. Like I have blackberries and blueberries in my yard, which I never get. The birds get them all. I just, I've almost given up. I try every year to net them or to do different things, and I fail miserably. But yeah, it's like a constant, struggle to get nature to do what you want, not what it wants to do.
Well, it's nice of you to feed the birds.
I figure
Thank you
at the
for
very
that.
least, I do that. And I grow fennel for the monarchs. I try to do what I can, but some of it ought to go to me, don't you think?
I think so. The one of the things that we talked about recently was about netting your plants and, cold covers, cold frames, things like that. We talked about a lot of things in the last 2 weeks, just to get folks ready to go ahead and put their plants in the ground.
I mean, if you start from seeds, gardening is really, really cheap. You
Yes, it
get
is.
so much food for so little money. And even if you buy plants, which I often do, which is cheating a little bit, but it's still cheap. And that way also you've got 4 different varieties of tomatoes instead of all the same kind of tomato and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely.
So what do you see people planning to do in these garden plots?
Well, one of the things, I'm going to backtrack for a second. One of the things I encouraged them to do, a couple of my gardeners the other day said, I'm just going to put squash and cucumbers in. And, you know, one girl is
They're
really
easy to
new.
grow. They're
Yeah.
so easy to grow.
Oh, I love it. I love it. One girl said, well, I've never grown anything. And they were like, well, we'll share seeds. So I love that. And getting them together for meetings ahead of time they've already started becoming friends on Facebook, and they've started a page for this gardening group. So that's pretty exciting because they'll get to know each other better. And again, that's what I was about, which is building the community.
Well, and that's where you get to where it's not just gardens, it is community garden, and it is sharing and working together and creating that sense of neighborhood and community that ties us all together and makes us care more about where we live and take better care of where we live and all that.
That's right. It's interesting. I met a lady in Newport News that lives at Buckroe, and she said, I ride my bicycle past there all the time, and I invited her to come garden with us, and she doesn't want to yet. I think she wants to see how it develops, but it'll be exciting because I've seen her twice and said, hey, come garden with us, come and enjoy some time with us. And we invite people out. Looking at a couple Boy Scouts that are going to build some benches for us as well. So I really want people to come and enjoy the time in the garden. It's not all work. It's fun and getting to know your neighbors, even if they're just your gardening neighbors.
Yeah, that is good. Well, and you know, it is work though. Remember, as a kid, we had to put in a certain amount of time in the garden.
Yes.
But there's really nothing like, you know, pulling a carrot out of the ground, hosing it off and eating it.
Oh,
or
absolutely.
Peas.
Tomatoes.
I mean, raw peas, fresh picked, are so different. You know, as a kid, I hated cooked peas. But boy, fresh raw peas, that's wonderful.
Oh, I still hate cooked peas. It's just...
Yeah, they're not as good.
But you're right. It's so cool just to go out there and get the produce. And especially, I love to see children that'll go out and pick up the cherry tomatoes and just right to them.
Well, a lot of our children don't know where their food comes from.
I know
they don't know, you know, that French fries are part of a potato. They don't know how potatoes grow. So will there be, you know, any kids? Do you think you'll have kids working in here too with their parents? And
We do. There's a little 10-year-old that I met that's going to be gardening with us over at Phoebus with her mother. And she's awesome. She wanted to make sure I was going to put in milkweed for the monarchs, which we will. We'll put in some nice things to soften it up a little bit so it's not an industrial looking garden. And I don't think gardens really can be industrial looking anyway, but I encourage the children
ready?
out there. Yes.
Like, do we need to bring our own compost? I mean, is it?
No, we had the
You're
soil
doing
tested.
all the hard work
No,
for us.
it's so exciting. We had the soil tested at both sites, and they were fabulous at both sites.
Wow.
And so that's great. If you want to amend your plot, that's fine. The only thing that we really request, a couple of little basics, we do ask that you trellis plants that need to be trellised.
Right, you don't want to
so that they're not
everybody else's. Yeah.
and also so they're not out in the walkways. We need to have access to that. The other thing is that whatever you bring in, know that in November that you need to take it back out with you. So if you bring in decorative rocks and big frogs and all this stuff, you just need to be able to take it back
Oh, that didn't
out.
even occur to me. I just thought you heard about plant material. So people are actually really making this homey.
Yes, yes. That surprised me. Somebody said, well, can I bring in a little fence? And sure, as long as you know that, it's going to go in November because we will retill the plots.
Okay. So everything goes, and well, that's nice actually if you do the tilling. I might come do
I know.
this. It's a lot less work than doing it in my own yard.
I know.
I like that.
I know. And at the end of the season, if they go ahead and reapply, then those people will be given the preference to have their same plots for next year, which is really nice because then if you are amending your soil or adding your organic additions to the soil, then that gives you the opportunity to have that same plot next year. A couple other things we're doing, we're going to put a compost bin on each site, and we do encourage composting. And as I said, we've already had one educational class.
Now,
we're
by
having a couple
composting, you
more.
mean like when you're thinning your plants or clipping, it just stays in place right there. You don't think people are going to bring their kitchen waste and dump it in?
I actually did have somebody ask me about that. I said, let me see your list. But yeah, we do want them to compost, and we do have trash site trash pickup at both sites. So
What about water? It gets very, very dry around here in August.
yes, in July too.
Yeah.
We have put in a water meter at Buckroe, and we are still working on the one at Phoebus, but we have a temporary water source identified. So there will be water stands. Bring your own bucket. I told people it was a BYOB garden. Bring your own bucket because we don't want hoses. The reason is
You're going to drag them across somebody else's.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a real problem. I didn't think
Exactly.
about that. You've thought of all this stuff. Did you do some research?
Oh, yes.
Other places that have community gardens?
I did. I did a study or kind of an analysis of gardens for community gardens for cities the same size as ours, same demographics. And so I had what worked best for cities the same size that we are.
Okay, so if someone's new to gardening, what do you tell them that maybe they should think about planting to be successful that first year?
I think, of course, all of your squash and cucumbers, those
so
are
easy.
great choices.
Yeah.
Tomatoes. And I'm trying to think of peppers are really easy. Peppers are
See,
so easy to grow.
They're hard to get red, but if you don't mind the green peppers or some of the other varieties, they're okay.
Well, also you can buy the ones that are just yellow. They go green to yellow or green to purple, or I grew chocolate peppers last year. They don't
Okay.
taste like chocolate, but they're real pretty.
I think lettuce is easy from seed. Now, it won't go all summer. Usually it gets, at least mine, it gets awfully hot by July or August, but it's a good spring.
But that's another one of those plants you can plant in the shade of one plant.
Under
Right.
tomatoes a little bit.
I do tomatoes and then a basil.
Basil, I recommend highly.
love basil.
It smells wonderful. It's just, we freeze it, make pesto. I mean, just before the first frost, try to cut down all the basil and preserve it. And it's just wonderful all winter long.
And pots of herbs too, because if you can add in marigolds and pots of herbs around your plot, then you're going to ward off a lot of issues. I think just the easiest ones for me are the tomatoes and, like you said, the basil. Love it. But companion planting is going to be big. We will talk about that. We'll have message boards at both sites so that we'll continue to add information. We have Master Gardener as a partner. Master Gardeners are partners with us.
Oh, they're so experienced. They've got a lot of what they've learned at the Virginia Tech Cooperative Extension, but also they're all people who put these things into practice. Now,
And-
Wendy, you've been gardening most of your life, right?
Yes. Yes.
What is it about gardening that appeals to you so much?
It's soothing. It's frustrating.
Yes, it is. That's good. Thank you for being honest with that, because it doesn't always go the way you think it's going to go.
Oh no! I had issues a couple of years ago with the squash bugs, and my husband said it was the most aggressive he's ever seen me be because I don't like them. But you know, it's therapeutic, it's very soothing, and it's so rewarding. You plant something, you nurture it, it grows, you get to harvest it, and then you get to eat it, and it's just so fabulous. I'm a retired chef, and so going from just cooking the food that's coming in to starting with the seed, and then just that whole, it's a reward, continuous reward.
Yeah.
And I love to teach children about this. So anything that I can get them to where they can continue to learn and to grow, literally, is wonderful.
Okay. Well, your background, I want to mention, I know this is a little bit separate from what you do, but it ties in a little bit too. You run a nonprofit.
That's correct.
Called Hampton Grows?
That's correct.
And what is the purpose of that? What do you do there?
We actually teach gardening. We typically work with underserved communities, some of the schools, and we talk about, or actually hands-on work with the students so that they can learn how to garden, how to feed themselves. And my goal is always for children to have access, people to have access to food, fresh food. So I do seek out pockets in the city that are food deserts and try to address them.
You know, that's so important, because if people can take care of some of their own fresh produce needs, They save a ton of money. They're getting
Yes, they do.
healthier foods
Yes, they do.
than they're going to get if they have to go to a convenience store, if they have to go to packaged foods. It is better for them and cheaper.
Yes,
It's
it
just,
is.
you have to plan, and you have to have the resources to plan and to put that garden somewhere. So we're answering some of those challenges in
That is
Phoebus and Buckroe, at least.
And we have plans to, as we see this program develop, then hopefully we'll be able to put more gardens in the city. Right now, as of today, I have 31 plots assigned already.
That's great. So how many do you have available?
I
can't do the math. You have to do the math.
30 plus the 4 ADA accessible beds or ADA compliant beds at Buckroe, and 12 plus the 4 beds at Phoebus.
And that's nice. Those beds are for people who may be in a wheelchair. But also the other challenge with gardening is as you get older, that getting up and down thing gets a whole lot harder. It's like I get down and it takes a little bit more effort to get back up.
Yeah.
So this way people can still garden even if they have some mobility challenges.
Yes. And we've already had one guy who wrote it on his application. That's what he needed. And I was so excited because that way our Eagle Scouts see what we're doing, up and coming Boy Scouts see what we're doing. A Girl Scout troop heard about it and contacted me and said, how can we get involved? And because of them, we're going to be working on a program with one of the senior homes as well.
And see, that's the whole definition of community when you have, and it's good for everybody, when you have youth interacting with adults, interacting with older adults, everybody, enriches the
benefits.
lives of everybody else.
Absolutely.
It's not like we're volunteering because these people need us. We're getting something out of it. They're getting something out of it. That's what a community is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's why I love this, and I can be so enthusiastic about it because it's so easy. It's everybody wins.
Okay. Well, thank you, Wendy. So if we want to know more, we go to hampton.gov/Parks and Rec, or just put community gardens in the search bar. The search bar really works. Like there were years when we had the website and the search bar didn't work very well, but on this website, I swear to you, it works.
Oh, I
you
love
can
it.
find things. It's a great way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so
and
much.
I'll come out and see your gardens this summer. Take pictures.
Please do. Oh, and we're on Facebook.
Okay.
Hampton, Virginia Community Gardens with an S.
With an S, okay.
And I just took some pictures of a group of volunteers that came out and helped mark the site with me the other night, and that was fun because these kids don't garden, and now they're just a little more interested. If you can get them started being interested, then better opportunity for them to come out.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, thank you for what you're doing, Wendy, and I hope a lot of people contact you in the next few weeks.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you. And thank you for watching. I hope we got you started on thinking about a spring garden and maybe joining the community. And if you don't want to plot, maybe just coming by, watching, seeing if there's some extra squash or tomatoes available. You never know. Thanks for watching.